Good morning, everyone. I'm architect Gunjan from Anandam Design, and I'm a pedagogist and architect by profession. We have been talking about sustainability for past some time. The construction industry, it consumes 40% of the energy, right? So what do we do about it? And what are the practices that has been followed? Because construction is not a new thing. It has been since 5,000 years. So we'll do a presentation in which we'll talk about the design philosophies, we'll talk about the sustainable technology that we use, and then we'll also just showcase few of our designs, case studies that are based in Bangalore, which will have all those technologies, all those new things that are being incorporated to bring down the carbon footprint of a building, to impart passive technology in the construction, and to also introduce regional vernacular architecture, which could bring and connect the coming future to the sustainability goals, right? So I would start by a quotation. This quotation was given by Mies van der Rohe. He was a famous American architect, and he said, "We should attempt to bring nature, houses, and human being together in higher unity." So that is the goal. If we try to bring every aspect together, we can get the deliverable correctly, right? So yes, we'll start with the presentation. These are the few buildings that we have done, and these are located in around Bangalore, and these has a lot of contextual elements. These buildings have a lot of elements which goes back to our ideology, which goes back to our ancient designing principle. And then it connects the current ideology, the current technique with the thought process which was back there in India long time, and somehow in this whole process of modernization we have forgotten it. So yes, we'll go ahead. The presentation has been categorized into 3 categories. The first is the design philosophy, the second is the sustainable practices, and the third is the technology. The technology, the modern sensors, the modern softwares, and the innovation that we use in construction. So when I talk about design philosophy, so according to our Indian design philosophy, the construction industry or the architecture, it has been divided into 3 categories. The first is Bhogadhyam, the second is Shukhadhyam, or we call it Shukhadarshan, and the third is Ramya. So Bhogadhyam, that is the utilitarian aspect. Any building, be it a hospital, a hotel, a school, or even, we have done a temple here in this photograph. It's in the northeastern side of India, where we have used bamboo as a construction technology. So every building has its utilitarian aspect. We have to understand that aspect and build accordingly. The second aspect is aesthetic. When we talk about aesthetic, it talks about the different architecture style. The glossy magazine that we see, which talks about modernistic movement, which talks about postmodernistic movement. So there are different kind of styles. There are vernacular styles, there are international styles, there are regional contextual styles, and those styles brings a lot of aesthetic to a building. The aesthetic can be in the building facade, it can be in the building footprint, and the third aspect is the Ramya aspect, which is the sensory motor or the spiritual aspect. So have you guys ever noticed that when we enter to a temple or a church, the entire vibration changes? When we enter to a museum or a parliament building, or there are so many institutional buildings, the vibration changes. There is a connect, that is a connect between the built and unbuilt. There's a connect between the soul, body, and the mind, right? That takes care of the sensory skills. We like to touch it, we like to see it, we like to feel it, right? So how can we achieve all of these aspects in this current scenario? Are these aspects or this philosophy just for ancient time? Can we replicate this into our current contemporary period? So let's find it out. So when we talk about principles, then comes the technology, the construction technology. How do we make it? So there are a lot of forums, pan-India, across India, like LEED, like Griha, like IGBC, like GEMS. They have sustainable pillars. They have outlines which talks about the requirement that should be validated, that should be put into a designing aspect, not right after the, it should be right before the design starts. When the idea is conceived, those pillars should be well incorporated. So these are the pillars that we put in the design, and these are the common one in all of those. We try to reduce the ground coverage. We try to provide all the safety features. We use a lot of passive technologies. Even AC, the air conditioning, can be worked on air tunnels. We have a lot of solar panels installed in the buildings. We have chambers, percolation chambers installed to cut down the use of natural ground, to cut down the use of natural resources. So these are the basic parameters that we try to achieve in all the buildings. We try to save water, we try to incorporate local and regional material, we try to push in a lot of natural lights. Because if a building is well lit, if the HVAC is well controlled, it reduces the energy intake of a building to 30%. And then there is a training, because there are users, different kinds of users in a building. So to use the building or the product effectively. So now, yes, those are the theoretical things that we hear everywhere. How do we implement that? Do we have a case study in which we match the ancient philosophy with the current technology? Yes. So this is a building in Lepakshi. Lepakshi is 120 kilometers away from Bangalore airport. Lepakshi is also known for its beautiful temple. It's sited in UNESCO Heritage Zone. This is the building that we are doing in Lepakshi. So when I talk about Bhogadhyam and Shukhadhyam, the two principles, that the building should bring happiness, the building should relate to the context, it should be utilitarian. It's a clubhouse building, and if you look at the profile of the building, we will see why it is made this way. This is a statue which resides just 1.5 kilometer away from the site. There is a huge bird statue installed to give homage to this Jatayu. This comes on the UNESCO heritage site. So when we were designing this building, we thought, why can't we just narrate the context? Why can't we do the storytelling when we are designing the building? It's a clubhouse. The ground floor has a cafeteria, outdoor deck, and a reception with a banquet hall. And on the first floor, there are suites. The idea is that the property can be rented out in Airbnb. So whosoever visits this place, why can't the storytelling start from the building itself? So the two wings that we saw, that the beautiful sculpture of the bird had, it's being donated here through these things. Okay, so this is the principle that we are taking. But what about the technology? How do we make the building efficient? Otherwise it will be just conventional building with the same amount of energy consumption. So we have run, while designing, we ran the entire design process into number of simulation softwares. These are the softwares, CAD softwares. These are the softwares given by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. These are the softwares given by different agencies to run the building, to understand what is the technology which can be used to cut down the energy consumption, to cut down the water consumption, and to use some kind of material which has very less carbon footprint. So if you look at the building itself, the pitched roof has Mangalorean tiles. Tile being made up of earth, that has a lot of insulation characteristic, that cuts down the temperature to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. And then the overhang. So all of the facade, all of the beautiful windows, it has been protected by the facade, the overhang. This reduces the solar reflective index. It reduces the solar penetration inside the building. So this is the facade. We saw the top view, we saw the facade. The two decks that we see here, it has a canopy that covers it. So although the building has 4 sides, north, south, east and west. The southern and the western facades needs to be controlled. It has to be cut down, the energy consumption has to be reduced because sun intensity is maximum at this point. So yes, we tried to use material which is local to that environment. We used these stones which is native to, there are a lot of stone quarries in that area. So if you see the stones which are being used in the cladding of the patios, you will see those are the local regional material available just at a distance of 2 kilometers. The decks, the overhang, it cuts down the solar reflective index. The roof, it cuts down the heat from the topmost part. And when we have created a void and mass, placing the different object together, then that brings a lot of thermal comfort. These are few images. So going back again to the same design philosophy. So can we connect a modern building with the design philosophy that was used massively back then, 2000 years?
Gunjan?
Yes, we can.
You could finish up within 30 seconds, please. Thank you.
The entire thing? So again, there are energy, calculation done on the modeling of this one. This is another building that we are doing, and this building is a building in the eastern part of India, and here it was a sports complex. So the client wanted an entire modern building with complete HVAC. So we tried to cut down the energy consumption by providing natural light, the northern light. If you see the canopy of the building in the right hand side, you will see that trusses are made to take only the northern light and cut away the rest of the light. So using the simulation program, we convinced the client that we don't need to make the entire building AC, The portion which has a lot of indoor activities going on, that is centrally air conditioned. And the swimming pool area, which has fins on top, which has vertical fins, that cuts down the energy uses. These are the calculations based on that. Yeah, we can just understand that each facade is being controlled, simulated and generated to control the energy consumption. And for a building which the building consumption, the regular tonnage of AC consumption was 10 ton for each day, we were able to reduce it into 4 tonnage. So this is the solar path which shows the shading that is happening around the building. This is a simulation program which shows how the energy is being cut down, reduced by using different members, by different projections, by playing with the mass and the void. This is another building in Doda Ballapur, very near to our Bangalore rural area. And here the intent was to make a building which could be accessible, universally accessible. So in this building also, energy consumption is all same. We have reduced by using a solar roof, by reducing the heat gain from all the facades. All the openings are provided in the northern side, and there is a water body that is running. So to provide thermal cooling, we have just used that water feature also to have that cooling effect. This is the simulation that shows the effect.
Gunjan, thank you so much.
So the idea, I would like to just conclude the entire thing with just one quotation that has been done by Charles Correa. He says, at its most vital, architecture is an agent of change, a change of perception, a change to invent tomorrow. And yes, with the help of technology, we can reinvent tomorrow. Thank you so much.